Hi, welcome to Hikate's Crossing as we continue this this journey of the heart with chapter 8, Conscious Commitment. Let us continue. If Nicole had attacked or condemned, we've done that. All too often we imagine that we must bend ourselves out of shape to fit into a relationship. For instance, we might think, now that I'm married, I shouldn't feel any longing or independence for being alone or for other deep, intimate friendships. Yet no matter how committed we are to a relationship, we will continue to feel desires to be alone and attractions to other people. If we try to eliminate such feelings, they will only haunt us, making us regard the relationship as a prison, or they may suddenly erupt as an irresistible urge to run off and have an affair. If commitment becomes a glue that keeps us stuck in feeling only one way, eventually we'll feel the urge to break free of it. We need a more expansive view of commitment as a journey of two people learning to open more fully to life. Through working with the whole of who they are, then whatever feelings arise can be seen as an integral part of their journey and need not threaten their relationship. Just as we might pacify a wild horse by giving it a large pasture in which to roam about, so we can make room for all our different feelings in a relationship. When we don't fight them, they gradually relax, and then we can learn to ride them instead of being carried away by them. Often we imagine that commitment means suppressing our wild feelings through coercive or restrictive measures. Yet if we try to stamp out the wildness in ourselves or in others, we only give it something to fight against. We may also wind up killing off our passion, which is an expression of this wild energy. One happily married man was unclear about how to handle the passion he sometimes felt for other women. Suppressing these feelings only undermined his male vitality, which also had negative consequences for his connection with his wife. Yet, could he let himself feel them? Could she handle it if he did? As a couple, he and his wife had to work on expanding the container of their relationship to include their feelings for other people. They finally agreed that they needed to make room for those feelings, and this was not the same as acting them out. This allowed their passion to keep circulating freely, contributing to the life and health of their relationship. It can be especially hard to accommodate our need to say no in a relationship. If we imagine that commitment means only saying yes, we may feel guilty about saying no to someone we love. Instead of saying no directly, we may say it indirectly or deviously by going along with something half-heartedly or withholding ourselves in some way. Yet every place we are afraid of acknowledging our no is a place where we withdraw energy from the relationship and avoid genuine contact. No has an essential part in any relationship. As an expression of our individuality and difference from our partner, it helps keep the spark of passion alive. We cannot say yes wholeheartedly unless we can also say no. When we are free to say either yes or no, then we can bring that whole of ourselves into the relationship, and this promotes a stronger commitment. Often we say yes just to avoid a fight, yet there can be a real energy and power in saying no to someone face to face, without apology or pretense, and without breaking contact. When my partner stands up to me or asserts her truth in this way, it deepens my respect for her. If saying no leads to a fight, that is not necessarily bad. The fiery, angry energy arising out of the friction between two strong individuals can often help them break through barriers and work out important issues between them. Anger is problematic only when we use it as a weapon of blame or attack. One of the great challenges in every relationship is learning to express anger cleanly as simple, direct communication. Doing this often helps a couple re-establish contact when they have grown distant. One creative way to express anger without doing harm is through whimsical rascality. Playfully wrestling or teasing, for example, can transform aggression into humor. When we can be playful with our anger, it conveys a spark of vitality rather than combativeness. Burning cleanly, it leaves no residue of resentment or smouldering rage. A danger, critic stories. What often makes it hard to accommodate feelings is that we interpret them as a sign of something wrong with us. In so doing, we turn against ourselves and give in to our critic. That scolding, attacking inner voice that continually focuses on what is wrong and tells us we are never good enough. Couples often panic at their own or each other's feelings and construct ominous stories that act as self-fulfilling prophecies. So it is essential for every couple to learn to distinguish stories. They're mental fabrications, judgments, or interpretations, which they then treat as reality from their feelings. Then, when difficult emotions arise, they can work with them directly instead of becoming carried away or intimidated by gloom and doom stories. So Peter's initial belief that because he felt so much conflict about his new baby, he must be a horrible person, is an example of a story told by the critic. In truth, Peter's feeling of being overwhelmed did not mean that there was something wrong with him. It was simply a signal to pay attention to some pressing needs. Diane also could have made up a critic's story out of her anxiety, concluding that Peter was unreliable and that their marriage was in danger. This would have prevented her from hearing what was really going on for him. If she had blamed him for his feelings, she would have further activated his own critic, which would have caused him to contract and feel all the more overwhelmed. And this could have set in motion a sequence of events that might well have led to the disastrous conclusion she imagined. Unless a couple recognize this kind of dynamic, they may wind up unconsciously forging a critic alliance. For instance, a man's critic may be in league with the woman's critic to keep her down. Whenever she gets out of line, his critic chimes in, which causes her critic to give her a verbal beating and bring her back into line. A relationship can serve our growth so powerfully because it reveals our stuck patterns more vividly than most other situations in our lives. As these patterns come to life, it is easy to start attacking ourselves or blaming our partner for the powerful emotions that may be released. Yet imagining that our feelings mean something about what kind of person we are only solidifies them further. Feeling anger does not mean that I'm an aggressive person. Feeling vulnerable does not mean that I'm weak. Feeling fear about giving does not mean that I am hopelessly selfish. If we can see the volatility of our feelings as a sign that a relationship is deeply affecting us and shaking loose old karmic patterns, we can let them arise and pass through us without condemning ourselves for them. So if I feel anger or fear with my partner, I can always use such feelings as a path by inquiring into them. I'm angry and scared. What does this mean? What is happening underneath these feelings? What is so scary? Perhaps I find that I am jealous of my partner's strength in an area where I am weak. I see that I'm afraid of being judged as a complete bungler in an area where she excels. But if I put myself critical stories, then I can see that I have something to learn from her, and this helps me open myself to the situation again. As two lovers work with what comes up between them, make room for all the different sides of themselves, and accommodate their difficult feelings, a real trust can start to grow up between them. They can then say with honesty and humour, I have seen all your tricks and I want to go forward with you, including all that. This kind of trust is different from the naive faith of, because we love each other, I know you'll never hurt me. Such blind faith is foolish because there are parts of everyone that are not trustworthy. Genuine trust develops between two people, not because everything about them is trustworthy, but because they can work with all the different parts of themselves, including those that are not trustworthy. As a couple's commitment grows, it becomes like an alchemical vessel in which all the karmic patterns that cloud their full radiant expression can be held and healed within love's larger embrace. The heat of their connection can transform these patterns into the gold of authentic being. All they may have seen flashes of this gold in the first rush of love, working with all the different sides of each other, allow it to shine through more brightly. Okay, that's it for today. Don't forget to check the links down below. Check the links on my channel. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you know when the next video will be uploaded. Take care and blessed be.